10:04 and call the meeting to order for the Construction Advisory Appeals Board for July 2nd, 2014. Before we get started, I would like to go through the members, introduce ourselves, and then we will get started with through the agenda, okay?
My name is Ann Hugman. I'm an architect, and I have my own architecture firm and construction company.
My name is Ben Shelton. I'm the Director of Operations for Pathway Church.
My name is Cody Martin. I have an air conditioning and heating company here in town.
I'm Richard Pirtle. I'm owner of Richard Pirtle Builders.
My name is Justin Rakowski. I'm a civil engineer, works at Johnson Pace.
My name is Barry Lansford. I own First General Services. We do insurance restoration work, fire damage, water damage.
My name is Dennis Hedrick. I'm a local home builder. My business is Hedrick Homes.
Okay. All right, first on the agenda is consider the approval of the minutes for the meeting of March 26, 2014. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second motion.
Okay. Minutes approved. Second on the agenda, request to waive the fire flow requirements for the new construction for Big Daddy Stereo, 2624 Bill Owens Parkway. At this point, I will turn over to Skip Whittle to get us started on the discussion. Skip.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Appreciate your time. Try to keep this as brisk as possible. Each one of you gave you an aerial in front of you that shows kind of a segment of Bill Owens Parkway where between Heather Street and Loop 281. Big Daddy Stereo is planning on building a new facility in that lot that's on the east side of Bill Owens Parkway, just south of the Little Animal Hospital. They're expanding their business and obviously doing very well out there. Concern is that, and you'll see in the portions of the appeals process, is that there is no fire water out there in front of that building. There is limited flow at a hydrant across the street. I'm going to let the fire marshal talk about what the current conditions are and the requirements according to the International Fire Code. And then the owners of Big Daddy Stereo are going to talk to us about why they've brought this case to the Construction Advisory and Appeals Board. So first I'm going to turn it over to Fire Marshal Johnny Zachary.
Thank you, Board. I apologize for my tardiness. We're on a pretty large structure fire at this time on the Loop 281. This particular building is a little over 10,000 square feet. It requires 2,250 gallons per minute. Currently, we have about 796 gallons per minute at the hydrant across the street. It is a dead-inch, 6-inch line. So that's the max flow at this time on that particular hydrant. So we're quite a bit shy of gallons of allowable water. The building could possibly be sprinklered, but the problem with that is the fire code specifically states you can give a 50% reduction for sprinklered, which still requires a minimum of 1,500 GPM. The code says the resulting flows after a credit of a sprinkler system, resulting flow shall not be less than 1,500 GPM. So that's, we obviously do not support building a building where we know we're below the minimum fire code. Of course, that's why we're here today, and it'll be y'all's decision to see how to proceed. But we would be amiss to recommend approval for a construction of a building that is not a mandatory building, so to speak, until infrastructure could be improved.
Okay, any questions for Johnny?
Yes, sir.
When will the infrastructure be improved? Do y'all know when that?
What we were told by City of Water Department was it'll be about 12 to 18 months when this is slated for a capital improvements project. So about, from what we were told, and we asked 2 or 3 times, about 12 to 18 months.
So it is in progress. It will be
It
done.
is our understanding it's on a CIP project to connect a line outside of Heather Lane, which is an 8-inch,
I see.
back down to this 6-inch. And we, on our own, went out and flowed just to kind of get an idea of what's up there at the Heather lane area, and there's about 2,760 GPM up there. So I believe a solution's on its way. There is a timing issue, obviously, because it needs to be there today, to build today, but there is at least there's a projected solution for this issue.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other suggestion that you can come up with, Johnny, to help these people out?
Other than that, I don't believe there's any other viable options to get more water there other than connecting those unconnected lines. Sprinkling the building does greatly reduce the risk. However, we still would be shy of water if the sprinklers for some reason are tampered or don't function properly. Will be set up for failure if there is a fire in this type of building. The building is non-combustible, but there will be combustible items such as inventory, vehicles, boats, whatever they're working on at the time. So the fire load could be the same as today. That fire, it's a non-combustible building. It's going to be a substantial loss because of the commodities that are inside the building. So that's always our concern. The building can add to the fire load, but what you do in it, the life safety part is less except for the employees and the firefighters. This is different than some of our concerns. So it's not a livable unit, which helps some as far as risk. But that's our options that I see. But
Okay.
from the official statement of the fire marshal, we will be going below a very specific wording in the fire code.
Okay. Any more questions?
What about the apartment complex across the street that
That-
has that fire hydrant? I'm assuming if the concern for a low occupancy building across the street is there, what you've expressed, what about the apartments across the street where people live?
We try not to worry about everything that we know is not right, but we're concerned every day. We don't want any fires there until we have more flow. There was a time several years ago, several units burned and the roof burned off because we did not have adequate water.
Okay.
So any fire there could plague a huge problem for our response as we speak.
And is
So there will be great benefit to improve the infrastructure in this portion of our city.
And I'm assuming that's why that's slated in the first
I
place?
don't know how things get on the capital improvements list, but I'm thankful it's there
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
area. And I want them to do well. This isn't personal. I think this is going to benefit the area greatly.
Right.
But the potential loss is more for material, not for life, right?
Well, I mean, I would hate to discount the life aspect, because if
I
an
understand.
employee's
I
in there
understand.
and they get disoriented.
Yes,
I
I got
mean,
you.
now firefighter lives, we're last on the totem pole, we're good with that. But, recently we've risked quite a bit for commodities, and we'll continue to do so. So there is that element in the fire code. I am concerned about our fire crew's response to a predictable situation that could be avoided or put off a little bit.
Okay. Any more?
I've got one final question.
Sure.
What was the city's approach to the little animal hospital immediately to the north of that location? Because it's on the same plane, so I'm assuming.
I don't know when that building was built. I know it's been there a long time, so it could have been several codes ago. Yes, sir. So it's an existing non-conforming, the apartment, everything that's built there is existing non-conforming, non-complying.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank y'all for your time.
Skip?
And I'm not sure who's going to represent the gay stereo, but whoever y'all want to, come up here, introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Robbie Owens. I'd like to thank you for coming out, taking the time to listen to us today. Have you heard all the specifics today so far? Can I know what's going on? On our end, we've been planning this project for quite a while now, and purchased the land about a year ago, a little over. Went to the city to try to get everything, jump ahead, any kind of issues we may have. First thing we saw, really the only thing we saw, was that it may be low flow on the hydrant itself. So we did a test and found out that, of course, it was. And the reason we were actually looking at it was for sprinkler system, because we didn't want to have to pay the extra money if we didn't have to. So we were looking at different ways to get around that. When it was flowed at $700, and so we realized we were going to have to pay it. So we went ahead and went back to the bank and got everything put together, got closed on our loan, got everything approved, sent everything off to the city for permits. And then we found out about 3 weeks ago that we can't build. until this is approved. So we are actually in closing now for our loan and just kind of waiting to get this done. So I'm sure that a lot of your builders and you've had your equipment on the property and ready to go, and everybody's been waiting on you to get your plans go, and you're kind of at halt on this. So we are just looking for approval, to have this built. We know that the plans are there, for the infrastructure to be changed. So we'd love to be able to have a waiver on this to go ahead and can start construction.
Do you have an anticipated construction time,
6 months?
a 6-month
Mhm.
construction?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're looking at a 6-month period where there won't have enough water flow or fire flow, is that true?
Possibly, yes. I mean, and again, it just depends on when they're going to have that. They're right now giving us estimated dates of when they're going to start the project to have the infrastructure where it needs to be. But we're looking at 6 months to where we're, complete with our construction.
How long have y'all been where you're at now?
We purchased the building in '05, is that right? Yeah, '05.
How many fires have you had?
No. We've been in business since 94, actually. Well, personally, 94. The business, Big Daddy's, has been in business since '79 with no fires.
So you won't be occupying the building for at least for 6 months?
That's correct. I mean, we have, no construction's been started yet, so it'll be at least 6 months before we're actually in the building.
Okay. But you are putting a sprinkler system in it
Yes, at about a $50,000 expense.
to offset any
Yes,
problems you might have between now and time the city is able to extend
Right.
that down to there.
that's correct.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Can I ask
Right,
Skip a question?
Sure.
This goes to the modeling of the 8-inch line. So has this, I'm assuming the city has done the model that once the 8-inch line is in, that the fire flow in this area will exceed what we need, at least meet or exceed what we anticipate is needed.
Typically, the modeling is done third-party. I don't know that Public Works is going to stand on record as saying, when we do put this line in, we're going to have this flow out there. Obviously, it should be a substantial improvement on what's there with that dead inch going into the apartments. And I don't know if you want to ask Public Works to talk about that, or if y'all have got some third-party modeling.
Well, when we first came into the issue as if we were going to pay for the sprinkler system or pay for the infrastructure, because that was our options at the time for us to hire an engineer and a construction crew to actually tie into Heather Lane to bring the pressure up ourselves. We looked at the cost and we thought the sprinkler system would benefit us better. So that's the reason we went with that. I did speak with Hayes Engineering and spoke with it, and he ran a small model on it and looked at it. And what we wanted to know is if we did, pay for the infrastructure ourselves, would that bring us up to a level we needed to be at where we wouldn't have to pay for a sprinkler system? And I believe it's 2250 gallons per minute is where we needed to be at. And Jason that I spoke to there said it would be really close, but at this point I wouldn't be able to guarantee you.
Yeah.
So that would put us at 2250 that he thought was really close, and I think we needed to be at 1600 or 1500 is where we need to be at. So for what he's saying, then I think we'll be way over our minimum.
Okay.
So the cost prohibited you from extending the line versus putting the sprinkler system in?
Correct. It was almost the same amount of money. So we figured we'd save a little money on insurance and have the backup as.
Well, the sprinkler system will help you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, any questions? Okay. No.
Okay.
Thank you.
The board is charged with not only looking at reversing or granting waivers to the building code for the fire code. It's also charged with looking at special circumstances, giving consideration to special circumstances. So those charges, along with making the recommendations ultimately with their building code updates, that kind of thing, this is a special circumstance. And so if you have any more questions as to what those circumstances are, now's the time to ask them. Otherwise, I'd ask that you go ahead and consider without making a recommendation either way, because it's our charge to uphold the codes, and that's why we're here. So, any more questions? Thank you.
Okay. there's no other comments, I need a motion to approve.
I want to make a comment before I make a motion.
Okay.
I'm all about the codes, and I'm all about obeying the codes.
Gotcha.
And we deal with them every day. I do feel that this is maybe a special circumstance in the fact that they are doing their due diligence as owners of a property. They're not trying to get around the code. They are going to put in a sprinkler system. I think, and the city's checked the plans, assuming that they are in compliance in every way that they could. And the city infrastructure is such that they cannot meet the code through no fault of their own, is what I'm saying.
True.
So based on that, I would make a motion that we would allow this to happen.
Okay,
Now, I don't know.
okay, thank you, Ann.
I would second that motion.
Barry seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
And would you
Motion
state
carries.
your motion for the record, please? That was a very nice statement, but would you state your record for the motion, please, and then the seconds?
I make a motion that we, based on the information that we received, waive the fire flow requirements for the new construction of Big Daddy Stereo, knowing the fact that the city is going to install infrastructure that will bring this building into compliance in the very near future.
Thank you.
Barry seconds the motion.
I, Barry Lansford, second that motion.
Motion carried. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right. Well, is there anything else that I would like, on the agenda, I would like to call for a motion to adjourn the meeting? Ann?
So moved.
Okay.
Y'all can make motions.
Second, Barry?
So I'll second that one.
All right. Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all very much for your time.